Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
She's a disturbing child, Mr. Hooper.
This is episode 167, recorded July 9th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Rodden, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. My co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. The joys of recording live. With me this week is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
I have a fear of my reflection.
Yes.
And he's frozen. That's how he's doing.
Yeah.
The frozen fear of reflection.
Let it go.
All right.
Let it go.
Also joining us tonight is the singing duo of Bill and Mulligan, a writer, director, and special effects guru, and all around nice guy. How you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm in upstate New York, so yeah. So hopefully my reception will be okay because this place is like dog patch. It's very
patch. Dog patch.
There's a
All
reference for our older viewers, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Of course.
Labna.
Yeah. Also joining us tonight is Chad Hunt, comic artist and co-host of every single Decades of Horror. Chad, sir, how are you doing?
Chad is not here. This is the robot who watches shitty movies. So Chad doesn't have to.
What are you trying to say, sir? Oh, you speak ill.
Sorry, Chad Bot.
All right. What we are reviewing tonight
It's
is
what I was created for.
a reflection of fear from 1972. Oh my gosh. Let's just jump right into the card because this is a train wreck right out of the gate. All right. Reflection of Fear, directed by William A. Fraker. Written by William Hume and Lewis John Carlino. Also from the novel To Thy Deathbed from Stanton Forbes. Way to go, Stanton. The cast includes, but is not limited to, Sandra Locke, Robert Shaw, Sally Kellerman, Mary Ure, and Signe Hasso. Signe Hasso? Sign Hasso?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have left out Mitchell Ryan.
No, but that's okay. The release date is November 15th, 1972 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to be precise. And then February 12th, 1973 in New York City. And I guess the rest of the country. The box office made was a $1.7 million in 1972 money. Synopsis: a disturbed and disturbing young girl becomes even more disturbed and disturbing after her estranged father visits her and her mother and her grandmother's house with the woman he plans to marry.
Redundancy.
That's the Department of Redundancy Department. Thank you, sir.
Hey, where can I get one of these robots? Because this would have come in handy.
You. All right. I chose this movie.
Sure did.
For a number of reasons. Ground like a big old bear. All right. One, I hadn't seen it. Two, I didn't even realize it was a horror movie. It is, but strangely so. But it also has Robert Shaw. Now, the reason why I chose it because it has Robert Shaw is because we were recording this. Originally, we were supposed to do it a little bit closer to July 4th, which on July 4th every year, there is a particular beloved 1970s film that I watch because it's the best time of year to watch it, which is Jaws, which lives up. To this day, it is such a great movie. So I wanted to see more of Robert Shaw in the genre that we love, especially because I didn't know he did anything else that was this genre related. So kind of cool in that respect. And of course, Sondra Locke is an interesting individual. And
she is.
Who doesn't want to see Sally Kellerman in a bathtub? Come on.
These are all valid points.
Now we have to talk about the movie. So what I want to do is I want to know when you first saw this film and what your first impression of it is. I'll go first since I picked it. I saw it. First. I better go first because after this, it's going to get
downhill.
muddy. So I watched it. I guess last week, I forget what day. I watched it one day, and last week, and it's kind of a stupid movie, but I kind of enjoyed it in its 70s flavor, right? It has a very 70s flavor. Unfortunately, a lot of the plot has been done better by a lot newer movies. Even not, maybe a decade later, there's probably one that everybody knows about, and then it's kind of a thing now. Although I really liked Robert Shaw and Sondra Locke in this. Now, the story itself, we're going to get into, but okay. I thought there was elements of it that I thought were really creepy. Well, really is not the right word. Kind of creepy. Trying to be creepy. Sometimes succeeding, sometimes not. When it came to Sandra Locke talking to one of her dolls, which had some chilling aspect to it. There's a twist. See it a mile away, but there is a twist. So it's got that going for it. That's not the most, I don't know, approving rating, but we're going to go with it. I'm going to give it a slightly favorable because I think I might be the only one. This might not about the rest of the crew. Chad Robot.
Me.
When did you first see A Reflection of Fear, and what was your first impression?
I just saw it the other day when we first said we were going to do it. I said, no, well, first of all, let me say, I said Robert Shaw, Sally Kellerman, Sandra Locke. This is gonna be a great movie. Boy, was I wrong!
You were wrong, sir. Why? Why were you wrong?
I've never been so bored in my life watching a movie. This was just there were creepy parts. There were when she was talking to the dolls and everything like that. But I was expecting a whole lot more from. I love Sally Kellerman. I love her, and I love Robert Shaw, and I'm not too keen on Sandra Locke. I've never been a really big fan of hers, but I think she's a good actress. And the whole setup was just I couldn't get into it. It was just very boring to me, and the twist ending at the end was just wasn't that great of a twist ending because you kind of saw that coming from, like you said, from a mile away. And then when it ended, you're just like, that's why I have a robot to watch these. I don't have too many years left on this planet at my age. So I don't want to ruin, 2 hours out of that time watching movies like this. It was just, I don't know. I just was not into it whatsoever. I was just expecting a lot more, and I did not get it.
Did not get it, huh?
I just,
I
got it. And I just didn't like it. I'll say that.
Okay. Yes, got you. All right, Bill Mulligan, sir. Well, when did you first see this?
Like the day after you told us we were going to be watching it, because I'd never heard of this, and the cast looked good, and it's like how bad could it be? And it's like this is like a half-hour script stretched out for 90 minutes, and yet apparently a lot of important stuff got cut out, which might make all sense. There's actually two twists in the movie. The first one is so obvious to anyone who's ever seen a movie that I guess it's not even really a twist involving, a doll. We all saw that coming, but the film seems to think that we're dumb, and that's going to come as something of a shock. And the second twist comes at the end. I guess I guess we're trying not to spoil this because it is one of the few things that people might.
We'll probably spoil it during a discussion.
We'll probably spoil it. That twist is kind of out of the blue, and it doesn't really explain much of anything. It raises a bunch of questions about the other characters that will never get answered. And it really ages the movie because, boy, that's become pretty politically incorrect and just odd. Now, all that being said, for for what this film is about, Sandra Locke's a great choice. She's an odd actress. She's an unusual looking actress. And that this movie, I thought she was in way more horror movies than this. I was surprised to go back and look over things. And it's like, no, she really wasn't. She could have been used in more because she had a very unusual look. She had a very unusual story. When you read her biography, it's quite sad, actually. And she was not well treated by a lot of people in her life, or the studios for that matter. So, and Robert Shaw is terrific. He's really good in it. I think he's the one actor who, you know, comes out looking okay in this. There's not enough there to keep it going. It's very soft focused and everything, so it's not particularly easy to see or hear or do much of anything. It just reminded, and it's very low budget, it reminded me a lot of Little Girl Who Lived Down the Lane, except I really like that film.
Yes.
But it's got that same thing where, with a few tweaks here and there, this could have been a TV movie.
It felt like one.
Yeah, and we thought it was when we first found it, and then it was like, no, it's rated PG, and it actually came out in the theaters.
Wow. Even the fonts for the title cards at the beginning looked like something off Gilligan's Island or something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It just had that TV movie of the week feel to it.
I will say, and I said this before we started, it did get under my skin, though, and I have been thinking back on this film a bit since I watched it, which I can't say about other movies I've watched this week. So there's that. Although I think it's just, I feel like, and I believe there is something to the effect that this was messed around with in post. It took a long time between when it was finished to when it was released, and they may have cut some stuff out. I haven't been able to find the book because I heard that there was stuff in the book that didn't make it to the movie. And given the ending, I can well imagine there are some really creepy, disturbing scenes, but there's no payoff to them. So I don't know if that payoff was taken out, if there's, you know, there's sort of a semi-incestuous thing going on, but I'm not sure how far it goes or who's responsible for it or what it's there for. I don't know if that was just too disturbing and got cut out. So I don't know what I'm supposed to think about any of these characters. They're good actors, but and they played the characters well. I just don't think there was enough given to them or left in the film for me to see the narrative arc here. It's an odd film.
Definitely structured like a movie of the week, or what today would be Lifetime Channel movie.
Yeah.
Jeff Mohr, sir. Well, when did you first catch this classic, or not so classic? And what was your first impression?
I first caught this about a week ago, maybe 5 days ago. I hadn't seen nor heard of this. Maybe not surprising. Although I would have thought it would have made like a big cable resurface after Jaws or something. So yeah, and I watched this a couple of times because I dozed off in the middle of it the first time. And
no, you didn't.
I missed the sleazy stuff. I missed the part where the 27-year-old actress playing the 13-year-old girl is slithering up to her dad and rubbing the inside of his thigh and all that good stuff. So
on
him. We're talking. So the titles, the quote was, "She's a disturbed child." Yeah, and she was disturbing. She was just really weird, and Sandra Locke is very good at it. But she's 27 and she's a good actress, and in the very first scene you see her in, she prances out in this little girl frock with no waistline that comes to maybe I don't know, 6 inches below her butt or something. It just looked, maybe I just knew too much about her. First off, I just am not seeing a 13-year-old in 1972 wearing that either, although it was a very weird house. So yeah, talk about a dysfunctional house, a dysfunctional family. And all we keep hearing about is how special she is. And she can't go to school like other kids, and she has all these dolls, and we keep seeing these scenes where she's talking to this one doll, Aaron, but we never quite, get a good shot of that.
That tells you something.
So it's weird. There's some huge jumps in the plot where some pretty dastardly things happen that we don't have any clue of. We just see the aftermath. First, it's the boat wreck, and I don't know. I thought Sally Kellerman probably did the best job of anybody in this movie, because she had to play the fiance of Robert Shaw, and she's watching this really weird ass relationship with his daughter. And I thought she did a really good job of her trying to put up with it, getting creeped out by it, then coming back and trying to talk to him about it. I thought she did a really good job. Sandra Locke, she does a good job, but I just never thought that she was 13. And maybe I just knew too much about her. She does have kind of that, I don't know what to call it.
I thought she was a teenager, but I didn't think she was 13. I would have easily bought that she was 17 or 18.
Yeah.
But 13,
anyway,
pushing it. But.
So I'm okay that I watched it, and it's got this, couple of twists in it, and the last one, they just play it for all it's worth by dragging out the reveal that everybody knows what it's going to be 2 words at a time. and then fade to black. So anyway,
well, there you go. Spoilers for the ending. There you go.
And I like Mitchell Ryan. I like Mitchell Ryan, and I thought he was cool too. He was the weirdest, aloof kind of cop. The whole first part of the movie, all he says is, "I could see why you'd think that. Yeah, I thought you'd say that. Yeah, that's probably what you were doing." He just kind of passively agrees with what everybody says in really strange ways. Anyway,
it was very weird. He was like toying with him. I thought it was weird. I want to say 2 things before we get into going through the posters and the cast. One thing I found of interest is that Robert Shaw and Mary Ure were married at the time. Of course, Mary Ure was his. They were married until her death, and she died in 1975. But she plays his ex-wife in this movie, and he's getting ready to marry Sally Kellerman. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then the second thing is I want to ask you, okay, we're getting into the spoilers now, and we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Of course, it's revealed that, how do we say it? Marguerite, Sondra Locke, is not a girl, but she's actually Aaron, the boy. She was born Aaron, and they just made her a girl, a very screwed up, disturbed girl. And we've seen that plot done, and famously in the 80s, right? We won't go into what that is here, but the point I'm getting to is in 1972, when this was released, or 68, when the book came out, would have this been a lot more shocking to audiences than it is to us now, and 50 years later?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. But let's put it this way. In 1972, you could get away with this long build-up last few minutes of, the phone conversation stretching out the big reveal. She's a boy. Fade to black. And audiences would presumably be like, oh, wow, that explains a lot. And I'm just like, and what? So I totally don't understand the ending. I mean, I understand that they've screwed this kid up. That I get. Why? What was the purpose of this? Did Robert Shaw know about this? Because my interpretation, this was like a flashback to him calling up the hospital before he even got there. So he knew the whole time? No?
He knew at the end, right?
At the end. I thought he called him at the end. There's one little weird tell that makes it something about he's going to call the authorities or the hospital or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just like, like the boat wreck.
It's edited weirdly, because it's like He throws her against the wall. His big thing is he realizes she's the killer all along. Duh, Robert Shaw. But then all of a sudden we have this thing going on with the hospital and everything. The way it's edited makes it sound like it's a flashback. So apparently, no, this is something that takes place after what we're watching. I don't know. It doesn't explain a whole lot. And so what? So he actually wasn't even there for the birth of his own child? I know he was
Apparently
estranged
not.
from the family.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I think he'd been estranged since then. Yeah, I got the impression that they were not. Yeah, it was dysfunctional. Is only the beginning of how you describe it.
And I guess that means like the mother and the grandmother so hated Robert Shaw that when she gave birth to a boy, she's like, "Oh no, we're nipping this right in the bud," and to coin a phrase. So they decided to raise him as a girl to get back at dad, or they're afraid that dad would come back if he knew he had a son. It raises all these questions that are not going to be answered because the movie's thankfully over. I don't know.
And they're no longer spoilers. They're no longer around to tell us. That's
right. I was waiting for something to justify the time I devoted to this movie, and I didn't get it from that ending.
There you go.
Well, I think it's almost like somebody sat around and thought of the ending and tried to make a movie around it. I know it's based on a book, and I have no idea what's in the book or anything, but it feels like that's what happened. Like, wouldn't it be crazy if this guy thought his daughter was this and she was really a boy? And back at the time, well, what do we do with it? Let's make a movie out of it. And they kind of built the movie around that idea. Is the impression I got.
I don't think you're too far off. All right, let's look at some of the posters. I hadn't seen this poster, but this is a nice looking poster.
That's not bad.
It makes it look a little bit.
And it actually happened in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, it does.
And Sandra Locke has amazing eyes that are not like any other actress out there. They definitely. She could do madness and just sort of off-kilter creepiness like no one's business. So
she reminds me of an alien. Her features and facial shape is very alien-like.
There's some people that come along, like say Tilda Swinton, who just have a unique look. It's hard to put it's definitely odd. It's not that they're unattractive or not beautiful, but it's a different kind of beauty, and it lets them do things that other actors would need a great deal of prosthetics to pull off.
Definitely. But she's got those. Sometimes I saw her described as doe eyes. Other time, somewhere I saw they were described as shark eyes, which I found kind of odd. But there's the poster that I would
black, lifeless doll-like eyes.
Doll eyes. Doll's eyes. This one is the one I'm familiar with, which is, it's also terrible. In the movie.
This
is a
sucks.
Terrible poster. That is, I'm sure she cried when she saw that poster. It's like, okay, let's see if we can find a frame of film where she looks least attractive and is smiling. No teeth.
Picture.
Her teeth have been surgically removed, and we're going to put that right on the poster. Yep.
Or they've showed her what the poster's going to look like, and that's
it gets better. We're going to use yellow because that really puts asses in seats. This is just an unattractive poster here.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, yellow's gnarly. Somebody didn't take design class, right?
No.
All right, so we were talking about Sondra Locke, and let's dive into her because she has, like you said, an interesting history. I was listening to a bunch of interviews and stuff because I found out she was married, right? But I think she was married. I think she was a beard, is what I'm.
Yes, she was
into it, but she had multiple flings and stuff, and most famously with Clint Eastwood. But I was like, if she was married, then how did this Clint Eastwood thing?
So I went down this rabbit hole. Lawyer ever.
She did
she
it.
Had an amazing lawyer.
But I listened to some interviews that she gave.
Well, it helps.
Was not a happy person.
Eastwood treated her like shit too.
Oh, absolutely. He was awful to her.
But she was not a happy person. With her interviews, she was like, who would want to be, But I mean, I feel today he would be totally canceled over the whole thing. But, you think about her. I think about all the films she was in with Clint Eastwood. That's what I think about.
Yeah, they had a good chemistry together on film.
Yeah.
And look at that top photo. This is not an unattractive woman. She's got a very delicate look to her, a fragility to her. And that does help in this film, that you, even though you're pretty, I think most people of average intelligence are pretty hip to who's the killer in this film early on, you do feel bad for her. She's obviously been screwed up. She's had a weird childhood with a bunch of people who probably should be in jail for how bad they were as parents. And that bottom shot, that is one of the creepiest things in the film. And once you know the ending of the film, it gets even creepier, because you know where this is going and what's about to happen. But thankfully, we're not shown. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I thought, did I fall asleep for a minute? Because suddenly there's a wrecked boat and they're on the beach and she's there. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And it's like, tell me you're a low budget movie without telling me you're a low budget movie. We can't afford to show.
She's laying on the boat next to Hector.
Yeah.
And the next shot is the wrecked boat. And they're hauling her screaming up into the ambulance. I think that was the hospital scene. I thought that was when.
Yeah.
And it took them forever to get her up those steps at the beach. There were a lot of shots that just went on way, way too long.
Screaming and fighting and
yeah. But Rosemary Clooney picked her out to play her in the Rosemary Clooney story, for whatever that's worth. Of course, she made, like you were talking about, the first film she made with Eastwood was Outlaw Josie Wales. She was wanting very much to be in Play Misty for Me, but of course she didn't get that.
She would have been good in that.
Gauntlet, Every Which Way But Loose, Bronco Billy, Any Which Way You Can, Sudden Impact. A good string of films.
She was good in all those.
I mean, I remember her because of those films. Because I watched all those. I watched those pretty hairy movies, right? That was
the Gauntlet, I think, was the first one I saw her in.
Oh, Outlaw Josie Wales.
That's because it's a great poster, right?
Right.
But Every Which Way But Loose and Every Which Way You Can, right? Come on. Or is that right? Did I say Every Which Way But Loose? And Any Which Way You Can. Those were like on permanent repeat on HBO in their I watched those over and over again.
She directed a very odd little movie. Was it called Rat Boy or Rat Man? I can't remember. I think it was Rat Boy. Yeah.
Rat Boy.
Yeah, Rat Boy.
That's a odd one, and it went nowhere. It later came out that her career was very much sabotaged by the studio, probably to curry favor with Eastwood.
Well, that and she also was picky. There was, she was.
Well, they actually did that. Well, they also did that ploy that Howard Hughes used to pull. If the woman wouldn't do what he wanted, then all of a sudden, then they wouldn't find any properties for her. So I thought what I read was she was given like a 5-film deal to develop the film she chose, and the studio wouldn't approve anything she chose.
Yeah, that these 5-film deals are not worth the paper they're printed on unless there's some sort of pay or play thing in there. It's like saying we're going to give you a cut of the net. Okay, that's nice. You're not going to get anything. So they bought her off.
Except for those who actually get it. They bought her a what? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, they bought her off. Because I think she had a pretty solid case in all of her lawsuits, and a lot of them seemed to get settled at the last minute because they didn't want it to go to trial and see what it was. So to the public at large, she probably came off as kind of a flaky married woman who had a long-term fling with an actor and then somehow thought she deserved to be treated like an actual wife. And, everyone knew who the popular, the megastar was. It was Eastwood.
Yeah.
Sandra Locke was not a megastar. She was not going to get sympathetic press. There was nothing in it for the press. It's not a fair situation, but. So, it's not a pretty story at all.
Yeah, welcome to the 70s. All right. Of course, there's
welcome to Hollywood.
Shaw. Welcome to Hollywood. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Robert Shaw, of course. Do we need to say much about Robert Shaw? Jaws, come on, Jaws.
Jaws, Black Sunday, Taking of Pelham, 1, 2, 3.
You know what I didn't realize until I looked him up? This guy is so much more than the actor. I knew he was a good actor. This man was a writer, a playwright. he wrote The Man in the Glass Booth, which is a really amazing little bit of work. It's turned into a film as well. And then I watched an interview on like a Dick Cavett interview or something. And these when you watch those interviews, you start weeping, if you're me, because you realize there was a time when talk shows had really intelligent, articulate people, and actors were not just coming out with these prepared stories that the host would pretend to hear for the first time and laugh out loud, and it just really good conversations.
Yep.
Man, we don't have anything like that anymore. This is a really sharp guy, and he brings his A game to this. I don't think the character was given a lot to do, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to think about him. But
he so wrote intense. The whole Indianapolis speech in Jaws. He wrote,
yeah,
he wrote that.
Yeah, but
there's a few people claiming credit for bits, but he obviously had a lot to do with it. Listen, even when he is miscast, he's so fun to watch. If you know what I'm talking about, Custer of the West. He plays Custer. He sounds about as much like Custer does as Yakov Smirnoff. I mean, he is so fighting to hide his accent and try to appear to be a legit cowboy kind of guy. But man, you can't take your eyes off him. He's having a great time, and he makes even a bad movie like that entertaining. He's a great actor.
I think Mary Year plays his wife in that, Mrs. Custer.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I think you're right.
Of course, the other genre film he would be that you could squeeze in here is The Deep.
Yeah.
From 1977.
Oh, yeah.
Giant
eel.
Well,
Giant Eel.
One of the biggest roles I remember him from too is The Sting.
The Sting, of course. Yeah. Yes. Well, From Russia with Love.
Yes,
he's great in that. He is really good in that.
What was that? There was another one that I'm thinking of, but I can't find it. I don't know what it is. Don't know why I can't find it.
Force 10 from Navarone.
Yes, there's Force 10 from Navarone. I remember seeing that in the theater. Because, well, there was a reason why I wanted to see it. It was because it had two actors from two films that I love. One was Robert Shaw, and the other one was Harrison Ford. And I don't remember liking the movie.
Battle of the Bulge too. I mean, he's
he's fantastic in Battle of the Bulge. He's playing a German officer. I don't know if his accent's any better there, but again, I can't remember anyone else in that movie. He's so good in it. You want him to. You're definitely not rooting for him. He's not a good Nazi or anything, but he's a great villain. Oh man, he's always brings his A.
I always thought he had an incredible resemblance to Jude Law, or Jude Law has an resemblance to him.
He could be Jude's dad. Yeah,
all right,
I like that.
The Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Yeah, his voice.
He was the Oracle.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Uncredited, yeah.
Yeah.
the Oracle.
Oracle. Oh, gosh. All right, Sally Kellerman. What can we say about Sally Kellerman?
She's beautiful.
MASH.
And hilarious. MASH is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God, MASH. But she's
good actress.
She has that wonderful voice and diction to it. The way she delivers lines and stuff. She does it here as well. Although she's relegated to supporting character.
Yeah. But even though she's a supporting in this, I thought she did a really, really good job. Not saying much, when she was, as they were showing Robert Shaw and what was Marguerite doing weird stuff together.
Yeah, her looks,
her face and looks said a lot without her having to speak.
Yeah, she was definitely saying
that scene was. Well, he's walking down there. All three of them go to the beach, and pretty soon, Sally Kellerman's all by himself, and they're like,
But I thought her and Robert Shaw had good chemistry. It seemed you could see that where that she loved him, but he was more infatuated. Right there was a really clear picture of what their relationship was. And you could see it in her face. I think that the dynamics between them two was remarkable.
But it never followed through on.
Didn't deliver anything at the end,
that.
But,
she got a little chance to express how she felt about Marguerite putting her hand on his leg and,
Mhm.
and some stuff like that. But it really should have went further than that. You know, she was really bothered by it, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
You expected a little bit more from that, and we didn't get it.
And of course, there's
She was in a movie with James Caan in 1973, Slither.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Of course, as we're recording this, we lost James Caan this week.
We did.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Mary Ure, Robert Shaw's wife, who unfortunately passed away just a few years later in 1975. There's some early pictures of her. She is like stunning.
She is
stunning. When oh my gosh, I mean, she's still beautiful here, but the younger picture, I mean, it is like.
Yeah, I mean, they don't flatter her much in this film. She mostly has to look angry and bitter, and she does.
And she also has to look older, even though she's only
older than yeah.
She's only like
older than, but
you guys look at that bottom picture. I mean, Sandra's playing crazy real well there.
Children of the Damned.
Yeah,
she does have a Children of a Damned look to her, you know, with the blonde hair and the blonde eyebrows.
She does, yeah. Where Eagles Dare was.
What's that? Is that
Mary Ure's?
Oh, Mary Ure's
big role. Yeah,
okay.
Or the one that I remember from.
Clint Eastwood rears his ugly head again.
Yeah,
he's in that one. Oh, yeah. I don't think I knew who she was until I saw this movie. To be honest with you, but she was also in Custer of the West. She played Elizabeth Custer. That's funny. She didn't do a whole lot. She did 16 things, so she wasn't prolific. That doesn't mean she wasn't any good. I thought she was good in this, as good as the film let her be. Right?
Yes. I thought she was very. Whenever she had a command of the screen, I guess when she was on screen, your eyes were on her. It's just that she wasn't working with much on there.
So, you guys were talking about the editing because it was the photography was completed in the early part of 71, but the premiere wasn't until the end of 72, and then of course it didn't really get a release until early 73, which is almost 2 years later. Now, today, with people know so much of other people then probably didn't even know unless they read the trades, right? But now everybody knows when a movie sits on a shelf. That's probably a sign of like what we were suggesting with that. It feels like it's been edited a couple times, and maybe they didn't produce the movie they thought they were making, or something along those lines.
Well, that was a jarring scene with the boat. I mean, I literally didn't know what I was looking at when the scene started with the boat crashed, and I had no idea what was going on at that point.
Well, I think they were trying to make a mystery out of that, right? Like, what happened? And they literally did. It was like, well, I still don't know what happened.
Yeah.
They didn't really.
Yeah. It was a mystery, all right.
So I just realized something that Go ahead, Bill.
I was just saying, it's never great in a movie when the audience like turns to each other and says, "What happened? I'm confused."
Yeah,
it's it's a good way to lose the audience. They lost me there.
So I was just noticing, and this kind of I was thinking to myself, Mitchell Ryan, the other role of his that I really liked was in the Western Monty Walsh from 1970 that starred Lee Marvin and Jack Palance. And as I'm looking at the director's credits, the first movie he directed was Monty Walsh. The second movie he directed was A Reflection of Fear. So
that's right.
We used Mitchell Ryan twice in that, playing an entirely different character. But two, I think, Monty Walsh is one of my favorite ones, but he didn't do much directing. He was mostly cinematography and camera and electrical department.
Mm-hmm. I knew him from Dark Shadows, and then later,
the actor,
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, the director, William Fraker, didn't. I'm not. There's just tons of stuff as cinematographer. Well, Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
He was on Close Encounters, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Paint Your Wagon, Bullet, Rosemary's Baby.
He was a good cinematographer in a number of movies, but I didn't think the cinematography was all that notable in this.
Incubus.
Gator.
Incubus has great.
Based on a novel by Ray Russell, who wrote Mr. Sardonicus. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah. No, he did Heaven Can Wait. I like that movie. In 1941. Oh my God. Best little whorehouse in Texas. Come on. He was it looked like he was a very popular DP. He did a lot of really good movies. Huh? All right. Well, what else do we want to say? Is there anything else to really say about this movie?
Liam Dunn. I just want to mention Liam Dunn.
Okay.
If you recognize him, he was the coroner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And you should recognize him from Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, yeah.
What was he in Blazing Saddles and Fraker? He's the guy that gets the thing.
The sheriff's. I think
him.
He was the Reverend.
That
guy. And he wasn't in a whole lot of stuff. He only did movies for like 15 years and died right around the age of 60. He looks like he's 75.
Right.
In Blazing Saddles, but that's all. That's it. One of those guys you recognize, that had some key roles in some odd movies.
All right. Well,
I don't know. I wish I knew more about Signa Hassel because she has a lot of credits. I just don't know her. 94 credits, etc. TV all the way back to film noir and stuff like that back in the 50s.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up and give our recommendation and all that goodness, whatever you finally want to say about this film. Let's go with Chatbot first, sir. What do you have to say about A Reflection?
I just could not get into this. It's just, and I don't mind slow burn movies. I really don't. But like I said, it just feels like there's a lot missing and a lot that went unexplained. The twists were not really that satisfying to me. So I can't, as much as I love Robert Shaw and I love the actors involved in this, there's just something about it that I can't really recommend. I don't know. I just can't recommend it. It's just
can't recommend it, huh? It's not gonna be not on your favorites of the 1950s.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Bill Mulligan, sir. You have the audience ear. What do you want to tell them about A Reflection of Fear?
It's a slow burn with, I think, an insufficient payoff, and I would recommend it only for like Robert Shaw completists. Maybe there's others that, like I say, it did get a little under my skin. I have thought about it since, but just more over what went wrong, what's missing, what was taken out. And I wasn't able to find that much information about this. I will say this is a film that was completely under my radar. So I appreciate, Doc, that you pointed this out because it's my goal to see every 70s horror movie ever made. And you got to know about them to pull that off. So, I'm glad I watched it, but I don't think I'll be repeating it anytime soon.
Yeah, it's definitely one that doesn't get much, if any, press. And you don't hear anybody talking about it, even though there arguably is reasons to. There's some influences here, but they're very light. Jeff, sir, anything you want to add to what the great Chad and Bill had to say?
We haven't talked about The Stick.
The Stick.
Aaron.
I thought we were going to get through the show without having to talk about The Stick.
Aaron had this stick that he poked
sexually mutilated
really hard. Poked him hard and
poke them hard. Oh my gosh.
Hurty places. But anyway, the other thing I was thinking about is, and I I don't know enough about it to get into it, but I wonder if this wasn't. This seems like a little bit of a trope that started to hit right around then, of these sort of switcheroo things. Like the first two to come to mind is When Michael Calls and The Other.
The Other,
where you're not. It's not what you think is happening, is it? It's somebody else or something else or something, and you know, sort of an earlier take on what was the one we did, when a stranger calls, or something like that, where you only this is more of a switch into personalities or who they're talking about, you know, like a double personality. When this first started, I thought we were going to get multiple personality disorder, dissociative personality disorder, but which we kind of do have, but
it's there. There's a little.
But anyway, you know, I liked Sally Kellerman, and you know what? I'm glad I watched it because of Mitchell Ryan, because I thought he was kind of hilarious. Second time I was watching it, I was paying attention to everything he said, and they were all just so off the wall for what you would expect.
His hat, for instance, was just had me cracking up. The hat he was wearing at one point.
So when did he get home? I'm sure he got home by 12:15. Yeah, you would say that. Yeah, you'd think that. What? Anyway, yeah, the hat, that was good. I drink too much at some point, he says.
At some point. All right. So, you know, I was curious about this because of the cast, and it was because it was a film that I, you know, hadn't heard of. And when I discovered it, I was like, well, we just got to do this. We got to figure out what's with this movie. You know, people don't talk about it. I don't even know if it's in my. I have all these books, and I don't know if it's in the books. If it is, it kind of, you know, it's like I've never heard of that. Went over it, right? So an impression it has not made to many horror fans. So I'm really happy that we are doing this, that we're watching it and getting a chance to talk about it. It's available on it's on Tubi right now, right? A few other places, but it's pretty much it's an obscure kind of frozen in time little film that doesn't play well today, and the actors don't, they're not with the lack of trying, they don't rise above the material. Even Robert Shaw, although he's great, just as Robert Shaw, but it's just there's a ceiling on this film, and they're all up against it, right?
Yeah.
I would say of the actors, even with Robert Shaw, I think for me, Sandra Locke, just the crazy looks on her faces. Like you were talking about that ugly scream. I mean, that's a really big moment in the movie when she comes out and finds her garden destroyed, right? And she's like, ah! And then they dwell on that, her face, and she says, boo, like crazy, and she looks insane. I mean, at that point, you're like, this girl's bonkers. If you didn't already think it before then when she was talking to Aaron and the rest of them. So I would say I would probably out of the four of us be the one to recommend it the most, but I'm still not going to say run out and see this movie, because you'll probably will have more of a Jeff, Chad, Bill experience. However, I think Bill, you may have said that if you really do like these actors, if you're a Sandra Locke fan, of Robert Shaw, Sally Kellerman,
sure.
There's and you like 70s material, and even when it feels like a movie of the week kind of thing, there's enough in here to keep you interested, and
sure.
You may not be fully satisfied at the end, but if it will satisfy your curiosity at the very least, and that'll be it. So it's a very lukewarm, half-hearted, maybe you want to try it kind of thing. And I wish I could say more. I want to say I was really looking forward to like discovering like a diamond in the rough, but nope.
You gotta try.
You gotta try.
We tried.
Well, we have some feedback, do we not, Jeff?
We have a lot of feedback.
Well, let's get through as much as we can in the next 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes.
Do we want to go through retro oldest episodes feedback to newest?
Sure, let's do that.
Well, the first one, and is from our buddy Mikey Z on episode 1, Incredible Melting Man.
Holy crap.
That
was some
he's
time
going
ago.
back, hitting the old stuff. Going back to where it all began with Doc and the Black Saint, Santos Ellen Jr., a great starting off point for the 70s and the not so great films that were to be talked about. Doc and Santos reminisce about seeing this in 1977 when it was released. The Incredible Melting Man, or as I call it, Tim or Timmy, Timmy, is what Santos called a mixture of cheese and gore with early special effects and makeups by the soon-to-be legendary Rick Baker. Great dismembered head waterfall moment, electrocuted sheriff scene, and various melting stages of Timmy, the Incredible Melting Man, stand out in this film. The acting leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, when you can't convincingly portray the fact that you're supposed to be sleeping, that says something about a person's acting abilities or lack thereof. A lot of slow motion moments throughout. If I never hear the sentence, "You haven't lived until you see the sun through the rings of Saturn."
Yes. Oh my God.
I can die a happy man. Between lamenting the lack of soup crackers to the in-laws of one of the main characters hunting for wild lemons at night, there are very many bizarre moments. Burr DeBenning, Myron Healy, and the titular character portrayed by Alex Rebar try to give some life to this 70s low-budget fare. Timmy literally has body parts drop off as he ambles along, leaving his radioactive melted droppings. Why they can't successfully track his radioactivity is never addressed. A lot of logic is thrown out the window in this. Still, this is an entertaining film, never boring, edited fairly well. It was great to hear from the Black Saint and his comparing this to some of the AIP films of the 50s. He is sorely missed, and the great Doc Rotten providing support to Santos' analysis and critique. I urge new listeners and viewers, or either seasoned ones to go back and hear where this DOH iteration began. Perhaps more comments are on order to earlier episodes. Yeah, and so if you watch this, if you watch this on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, all of that started like around Octoman, I think, that we did the videos. And everything before that, and the new ones are also on audio podcasts. So if you have podcast apps, you can grab the old ones. Another one from Mikey Z. This is actually kind of good. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. He calls this a rodental sidebar. I'm with Bill. Mouse flavored cat food is the wave of the future.
Damn Skippy.
Mouse flavored cat food.
I see the ads now, endorsed by elephants everywhere.
Oh my God, yes.
It is the most logical taste every cat would crave. I also see PETA knocking on the door now. That is until one of those rodent cuties escapes into a room of PETA supporters. Then let the mayhem ensue. Jeff had the same thought I had when Izzy mysteriously disappeared just around the time of Mouse Chat. Gizzy, he meant. I pictured Gizzy down at Bill's feet, looking up with wistful eyes, licking its lips in hungry anticipation. Here are my slogans for Minute Mice cat food. Just takes a minute to feed your feline friend. Served in fine establishments, not just some hole in the wall joint.
I see what you did there.
All right, Mikey. Another great podcast. Keep being awesome, Grue Crew. I remember that.
My rants get results.
Now, here are a bunch of really good ones on Terror of Godzilla.
Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Episode 165. First off is Hector Martin, who says, is it possible for you guys to make a full reaction commentary video of this great movie? It would be a great idea.
I'd be up for that.
It's
Mystery Science, Decades of Horror.
Decades of Horror theater.
It's possible, but I'm not hearing a lot of upfront.
Well, it had to be public domain movies, I'm sure.
If we want to publicly do it, yeah. If we want to privately do it, we can do anything we want.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Put it on Patreon.
So that's a resounding We get you, Hector, but we don't have a clue.
Well, considering like herding cats, how it is to just get us all together for an hour.
Oh, God.
It's been rough lately, but yeah, it happens.
Okay. Thanks, Hector. And this one is from Evil Genius. I saw this way back when the kaiju movies were booming in America. I caught every monster movie marathon weekend that was ever played on TV. Is this one the best? Nah, but it is still a fun movie. I guess that I was their target audience at the time. As a kid, watching giant monsters beat the tar out of each other was prime entertainment. And yeah, they got pretty bloody. They did. Godzilla squirted blood.
Yeah.
By the way, the name of the anime character that you briefly mentioned was Zoltar from Battle of the Planet.
Yes. The horns.
That was the 70s Sandy Frank U.S. localization of Science Ninja Teen.
Gotcha, man.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha, man.
Gotcha, man. Yeah.
Gotcha, man.
I watched Battle of the Planets right around the same time as the above kaiju flicks. There is a part where Zoltar is demasked and dun, dun, dun. Zoltar was actually a woman. It freaked my 7 to 8 year old mind out. It was like sleepaway camp for preteens. In the original anime, it goes way further than that, too. It wasn't bad in a lewd way. Burga Katsi, his original name, was like Mystique from X-Men. He was a mutant who would switch genders at will. There you go. Save that info for Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial Pursuit.
Logged away. And I know I've heard Chad talk about he tried to watch all 33 of the Godzilla movies in a row, or maybe it was Doc.
I did do that.
Dallas Nostromo says, who has a kaiju website, I believe, where he reviews these kaiju films. I recently watched all 33 live-action Godzilla films and the 3 animated movies on Netflix, and I'd put Terror of Mechagodzilla in my top 5 films of the franchise.
Wow, nice. Okay.
I really liked some of the continuity between this movie and its predecessor, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from 1974. I also enjoyed the new kaiju introduced in this film, Titanosaurus, who has a unique look. Akira Ifukube's classical Godzilla music score is perfect, and Yukiko Takayama's story was very interesting. It was also great to have Ishiro Honda in the director's chair once again, and I even loved Soke Tomioka's ground level shots looking up at kaiju as they battle. In fact, the only element I didn't care for were the aliens elements, which looked rather silly, as if they were from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Great podcast, gang. And thanks, Dallas. Appreciate all the input.
Yes.
And then we have Brian Clark, also on Terror of Mechagodzilla. One of the most underappreciated films from the Showa era. The dark, brooding tone is the perfect send-off for the era and the original creative team, minus Tsuburaya. Regarding the continued use of traditional tokusatsu techniques, the Ultraman series is still wildly popular and continues to use men in suits and miniature sets, augmented by CGI of varying quality. The new series range in quality from pretty damn good to nearly unwatchable. Check out Ultraman X or Ultraman Z for some better examples. Just like in the States, there are plenty of people who still love practical effects and continue to uphold the old and better ways.
Nice.
Director Daisuke Satu has been working with legendary Showa-era suit builder Kaizu Maratsi, who did Mothra, Varan, and King Ghidorah, etc. for years now. Their short film, Howl from Beyond the Fog, is absolutely phenomenal, and I believe is still available on Prime and Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
A resounding
I know. I'm
going to check that out.
Howl from Beyond the Fog. Loosely based on Bradbury's The Foghorn, the monster Nebula is a man in a suit surrounded by miniature sets, and all the human characters are marionettes. Their next project is a retelling of the Yamato no Orochi legend called Brush of the God, which should be out next year.
Wow.
Awesome.
I gotta check that out.
Is a fountain of information.
Yeah,
Brian.
Guys, I gotta check off a little early here. Just gotta attend to a family matter here. But
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
take care. I'll see you all.
Take care, Bill.
Appreciate it.
soon.
Hey, Bill.
Good
Thank
to see
you.
you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You want to do the last two?
Let's go. Let's save the last two for next episode. Let's go ahead and wrap this up at a nice
All right.
even hour. We have our next episode title ready, right? Which film are we doing?
We do. We're doing Santo and Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman.
Well, shit a brick. That's going to be awesome. Who chose that one? Jeff Mohr. Jeff
Well,
Mohr.
I tell you what, with you doing those retro episodes, putting those out again with Santo and lots of people talking about Santos, it made me think back to he was a big fan of El Santo.
He did.
And that was about the time that we did Santo and Blue Demon versus the Monsters.
Oh yeah.
Which was almost 5 years ago. So it's time.
It's
right?
time. It's time. So which one is this? Is this what? Give me the full title again.
Santo and Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman from 1973.
And the Wolfman.
These are currently on
such
Tubi.
fun movies.
It is, and it's actually available. There's a Blu-ray collection or pack of, I don't remember how many movies are in it, maybe 4.
Oh my God.
They're on your shelf behind you.
They are not. They are not. I held off until we did this movie because every one of these is dubbed in English, and I can't find them anywhere in Spanish with subtitles, which I would much prefer. So I thought, well, we'll do this one, and I'll see how it goes and decide whether to get
The Blu-ray. Okay.
Blu-ray. But I probably will anyway.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's definitely going to be a change of pace, and it's going to be a blast. I haven't seen any of those films.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're awesome. They're just funny and fun to watch, and I love them.
So, do I take it seriously, or do I put my tongue in my cheek?
No, you just put your tongue in your cheek and go along with a wrestler that fights monsters.
Yeah.
2 of them. Right?
Yeah.
And there's always at least one tag team wrestling match. I mean, an actual wrestling match.
An actual match, yeah.
Okay.
That is right in the middle of the movie.
All right. Well, there you go. That's going to be interesting to tackle. So, good choice. Good choice. Does Bill know? Does Bill know?
He does.
Sure.
He does.
All right. Excellent. Well, there you go. That's our review of A Reflection of Fear. I hope you enjoyed it. If you get to see the film and you want to comment about it, we'd love to hear your thoughts. We ran out of time, but we actually had somebody share their thoughts before we even recorded. So that's fun. And you're welcome to do that. So if you have thoughts about the next film, send them our way.
Well, I think a commenter on the last episode had mentioned that he had gone back and was doing all the classic eras and had great fun with the Santo movies and had watched all these and said, please pick this movie so I can have an excuse to watch it again. And I went,
there you go.
There you go.
All right. Please, if you enjoy these reviews, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the what was the other one? Subscribe button. Yes, that'll all do wonders for us. And we would
ring the bell.
Tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops.
Jeff, Bill, who is gone, and of course Chad Bot. Thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun, as always.
Thank you. Yeah, it was.
Thanks.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Night-night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.